objection.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker and ladies and gentlemen of the House, I'm pleased to join the lead sponsors, the gentleman from Illinois, Rahm Emanuel, the gentleman from New Jersey, Rush Holt, the gentleman from California, Javier Becerra, the gentleman from California, Mike Honda, and the gentleman from Minnesota, Keith Ellison, with more than 50 other co-sponsors of this important legislation to protect the right to vote. Obviously, there's no more important issue that comes before this Congress than protecting the right to vote. It is the cornerstone right of our democracy. Without it, all other rights and privileges enjoyed by us are in jeopardy. Protecting this right, however, has not been an easy task. Historically, it was not until passage of the 1965 Voter Rights Act that we began to accord the highest meaning to that right. Less than 40 years later, however, we endured the debacle of the Florida 2000 presidential election. And the problems continue. In the most recent midterm and presidential elections, we learned of numerous incidents in which deceptive practices were used to thwart and frustrate citizens from exercising the right to vote. Some voters were, believe it or not, told to vote on the wrong day. Wednesday is not the right day to vote in congressional or presidential elections. Others were told that they could not vote without paying outstanding parking tickets. Others were told that they would be imprisoned if they voted without paying overdue utility bills. Ultimately, eligible voters were misled, deceived, and disfranchised in a number of other ways. And it's our collective intent in the Judiciary Committee to end this practice. And we're here talking about seriously protecting the right to vote. And I believe every member of the House of Representatives cares deeply about this issue, and that's why we must pass the measure under consideration. For this bill explicitly prohibits deceptive practices, provides voters with greater federal protection, increases the penalty for voter intimidation and misinformation in campaigns. What makes me proud of this measure is that so many of our organizational friends in the voting rights community and the civil rights community as well have joined us in support of this legislation. Among them are the People for the American Way, the very historic Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, the NAACP, the ACLU, the Jewish Council for Public Affairs, and the New York City Bar itself. This is not an entire solution for reforming and improving the election process. Among other things, we also need to reduce our reliance on unverifiable electronic voting machines, which undermine accountability and our citizens' confidence in election results. We also need to ensure a fair allocation of voting machines in polling places, as well as a unified system of educating those who work the polls as to the rules and procedures. And we should make Election Day a national holiday so that no one has to choose between their responsibilities as citizens and their responsibilities to their employers. But this legislation is an important step, and one that we should take today. Let's face it, if we can't If we allow the infrastructure of our democracy to remain frazzled and decay, our citizens will rightly lose confidence in the legitimacy of the voting process. And we should work to keep that from ever happening. And so I'm proud to join with all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to support this measure. And I